Greetings, everyone. Hey, welcome to another episode of the People's Power Lunch with me, the People's Prophetess, Jackie Lukman. Thanks so much for joining me. I see you all filing into the cafeteria for today's Freedom Friday. We're going to talk about nothing serious, absolutely nothing serious today, but something that is serious to me and near and dear to my heart, and that is zombies and perhaps the apocalypse. But before we get to that conversation, I see that all of our regulars are filing into the cafeteria. What's going on? Shock G, Ready Revolutionary One, Iyapo Yapa. Hey, welcome. Peace to you, Ricky Ryan. Happy birthday, comrade Ricky Ryan. Sugar Sham, Lisa Catlett. Oh, Manny Nile, Q Africa, CB, Big Teal, uh, Ariana Gladney, Pookie Wood. I see y'all. Thank you so much for joining me today for my special segment on all things zombie. Okay, well, not all things zombies, but I really do love the zombie genre. And I'll explain why in a minute. But I see more of you are piling in. Don't rush. Don't rush. You're not late. Come down. Come into the cafeteria in an orderly fashion. It's okay. It's hot outside. Chill. Don't sweat it. Just, go over to the buffet and find something that you like. Or if you brought your lunch, go on over to the microwaves and heat up your lunch. Find a seat and let's get rolling. KD, more folks are coming in. Good to see you. Alicia, let's see. Big Teal, did I see you already? Well, I'm going to say hi again. Hey, Big Teal. Lady Alex M, good to see you. All right, let's get down to the housekeeping. If you are watching on Black Power Media, I hope you've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed, that we have not had a live remix morning show this week, and I think we're off next week too. I'm sure, but we have been playing replays of the remix morning show, so please enjoy the replays of the remix morning show while your remix hosts Kalanji Jamachanga, Kamau Franklin, Dr. Jared Petty Officer Ball, Burn It Down Kim Brown, myself, and our production team, Erica in the background and May in production, while we take a well-deserved summer break from the morning show. And we will be back soon with brand new, fresh remix morning shows for you very soon. But there is plenty of Black August content that is lined up on the platform, so don't miss out on any of that. How can you not miss out? Well, you subscribe to Black Power Media on YouTube. Click on the notification bell to make sure you get notified anytime anybody posts content, goes live, whatever on the channel. You do not want to miss all of the content we have for you for this Black August. You can support Black Power Media on Patreon at patreon.com/Black Power Media. But did you know you can also support Lukman Nation on Patreon? Yes, you can. Patreon.com/Lukman Nation, LUQMANNATION. I appreciate your support, all of our patrons. And I know that because of everything that's been going on this month, I skipped your July only patron stream. I apologize. I just got behind with all of the doctor's appointments and all this kind of stuff. But don't worry. Don't worry. You got an August stream coming. Yes, you do. And I'm in the can for one for you. So the Lukman Nation patrons have two upcoming patrons only streams for August. I appreciate y'all so much. I see more folks have come into the conference and into the cafeteria. Janiro Dingle, what's going on? Eugene Mason, good to see you. Sugar Booger 7, Lene Demoy, glad you guys joined. I see you. Thanks for joining. Okie dokie. Now, thanks, Janiro, for joining us, even though you're fasting for Black August. I appreciate that. And as you know, for Black August, the process, the what we do for Black August to commemorate Black August, to participate in Black August, and to lift up the struggle to free our political prisoners is to fast if you're medically able, study, train, and fight. So all of us can't fast. I mean, I cannot fast. But for those of you who are fasting during Black August, I'm going to stop asking you what you're eating for lunch because I don't want to make it difficult for people who are fasting. I think that's not fair. So, not going to talk about lunch, but let's talk about zombies. How about that? So, okay. I really do love zombie movies. And I think the reason I love zombie movies is because, believe it or not, the zombie movie genre is really political, right? And if you didn't know this, and I was telling the host of By Any Means Necessary and my comrade Sean Blackman this when we talked about some zombie movie on the show a few months ago when I explained that George Romero, the father of the modern zombie movie genre, the creator of the classic Night of the Living Dead. If you have not seen Night of the Living Dead, you're not a fan of zombie movies. And don't talk to me about zombie movies until you have seen the original Night of the Living Dead. For those of you who have not seen the original Night of the Living Dead, that's your homework. Watch it. It's in black and white. It's I mean, yeah, there's some kind of gruesome parts to it. Nothing like the what the zombie genre has become, but that's your homework. So George Romero um, wrote Night of the Living Dead and all of the movies that came after Night of the Living Dead, all the sequels, Dawn of the Dead, all of the, I cannot remember how many sequels there were to that movie. Um, but he wanted to use zombies to reflect the decay, the decay that was growing in American society, like the problems that were becoming impossible to ignore, that were growing bigger and bigger in American society. So if you watch the original Night of the Living Dead, it is black and white. It takes place, and I'm going to try not to give you a whole bunch of spoilers because it honestly is one of my favorite movies. It's in the top five, easily in the top five of all movies of any genre ever. So the movie takes place in the out in kind of a rural area. People end up holed up in this kind of farmhouse. There is a family. There's a mom and a dad and a little girl. There is a couple. There's a black guy. So as the zombies, and somehow, the zombies start coming out of the cemetery because, of course, there's a cemetery right at the farmhouse, right? So, of course, when you're looking at zombie movies, don't try not to think too logically because I think that is one of the reasons I think that people who really hate zombie movies kind of don't like them, other than the gore, which okay, I understand. But people I talk to who kind of dismiss and poo-poo zombie movies are like, oh, it's just so stupid. This, it would never happen, and how illogical it is. But you know, throw your logic away. Throw your reasonable mind away here because this is a genre of movie that plays on like the deepest darkest fears of human beings in general. So it doesn't have to make sense to be like extremely creepy and to affect you in kind of a visceral way. Like obviously the first illogical part of zombie movies is that if we're talking about zombies rising from the dead from cemeteries, how? They're in coffins. Right? At least in this country. I don't know what they do in other countries. I have heard some things about what people do in other countries, but at least in this country, they put you in a box. And so how is the zombie getting out of the coffin, right? Don't think about that. That doesn't make any sense. And especially don't think about that when you're watching the original Night of the Living Dead. So you've got all of these different kinds of people, different groups of people representing different aspects of American society, right? You've got the young couple that is, starting out. They're very rosy-eyed and very much in love, and the future is wide open for them. And then you've got the family with a completely asshole father. And then you've got the black guy, and so there are a whole bunch of dynamics, power dynamics that go on in this farmhouse as the zombies are risen from the dead, and they know that the human beings are in the farmhouse that they want to eat. Another thing that you have to just kind of leave your logic at the door when you're watching zombie movies is the idea that zombies like eat for nourishment. They don't. It's kind of a primal thing, and again, it's a play on just this ultimate fear, this really weird suppressed fear that people have of cannibalism, right? And the fact that zombies rise from the dead, that's kind of a twofold kind of thing, interestingly. And unfortunately, one of them is kind of connected to the Western misunderstanding and demonization of voodoo, where there were a bunch of horror movies back in the day where voodoo priests were turning people into zombies. Well, they weren't like dead. They were literally able to kind of control people using whatever means. So that is a real human fear. The the loss of our need to be in control. Like one human fear that I think we all have is we don't ever want to be in a situation where we are controlled by someone or something else. That is a very real and logical human fear, right? That is connected to this really ridiculous and quite honestly white supremacist misunderstanding and demonization of voodoo. And you kind of saw that in movies like uh, the what was it, and the serpent. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was one of those movies from like the 80s, I think, that kind of tried to revive the horror movie exploitation of the voodoo religion. Y'all will y'all will remind me in the chat. It was something and the serpent. Cannot remember what. Anyway, but one of the original zombie movies before George Romero even wrote Night of the Living Dead was a movie called White Zombie. And this movie was, and I think Serpent and the Rainbow. Thank you so much. Um, Thank you, Sula. Serpent and the Rainbow. Thank you. It's, and by the way, that was a terrible movie. But yeah. So this movie White Zombie was about this white lady who was somebody a serpent and the rainbow. Thank you. About this white lady who it's been so long since I've seen this, so I'm probably getting this wrong. But anyway, she was turned into a quote unquote zombie. She wasn't dead. She was subjected to a voodoo ritual because somebody was pissed off at her, and she was put under the control of the voodoo priestess that's the kind of exploitation white supremacist very, exploitative misunderstanding, intentional misunderstanding of voodoo that is connected to the early zombie movies. But it's that kind of exploitative aspect of voodoo in Western horror movies that feeds this kind of fear of zombification, right? That carries over into the modern zombie genre. Thank you, Iyapo. Good point. The Believers also touched on that back in the day. I didn't like that movie either. It wasn't that. I didn't understand what the big deal was. And I think that it was such a big deal then because it was Michael J. Fox, and it was a that role for him was such a departure from what people had known him as, which was being in Family Ties, right? The TV sitcom. Yeah, it wasn't so great. So that's there's that part. There is like this, and I'm glad that the modern zombie genre has pretty much done away with that. So now what we're dealing with when we're talking about modern zombies that George Romero created, now we're talking about the fear of death, right? Not only the fear of death, but the fear of the unknown of what happens to us after we die. And this is honestly, I think this is entirely a Western thing because I mean, the people that I have been able to meet who are from different places in the world, they just don't see death as like this frightening, oh my God, I don't want to die. Oh, what's going to happen to me on the other side? They don't see death that way. They see death as just kind of a natural part of the entire cycle of existence, and that death is really, and I'm generalizing, but death is a transfer of energy. Basically, it's not like this horrific, scary blackness, darkness, who knows what happens, and oh my God, what if we can come back and eat people alive kind of thing, right? So George Romero um, played on those Western fears, our fear of a lack of control, um, our fear of death, very Western, very white supremacist, very Christian focused, very white supremacist Christian interpretation focused. Manny, y'all, I do. Because everything is political. That's why. Because even the stuff that I look at as not serious and what I enjoy, the entertainment I enjoy and just enjoy it for entertainment's sake, even I recognize that every single bit of it is political. Just so happened that George Romero really meant for this genre to be political. So he's taking all of these fears that mostly Western white people have about not being in control of ourselves, of death. And then he turned it on its head and said, well, what if the dead aren't dead? And they come back. So we not only don't have control over death, we don't know what happens over death, but then damn it, death isn't really death. And then when you come back, then what comes back is a threat to the living. And then this is where the politics come in. Okay, well, the politics were already there, but this is where the societal politics come in. So, what Romero does is to have the people in the farmhouse represent, as I said, these different segments of society. And as the tension within the farmhouse grow and escalate among these different groups of people, those tensions reflect the tensions that were going on in American society at the time. And at the time, protests against the Vietnam War were happening. Protests against racism were happening. The feminist movement was emerging. Student nonviolent movements were emerging. All of those things were happening at the time that George Romero writes Night of the Living Dead, and he takes the internal conflicts that are happening in the United States and puts them all in a farmhouse on this movie set, and then has this external threat that is literally threatening to eat everyone in the farmhouse. And these people in this farmhouse can't get their shit together to survive in order to deal with the external threat. That's the politics of the original Night of the Living Dead. The interesting thing about that particular movie is that Romero swears up and down. He swears that he did not write the script so that the person who survived was was in itself the way the movie ended. I'm not going to tell you how it ended. You have to watch it. He didn't write that script and he didn't cast that character to make the social commentary that it did. He swears he didn't do that. He swears that's just how it kind of worked out. I kind of don't believe that. But I'm going to leave that there, right? Because I really want you, for those of you who have not seen Night of the Living Dead, to watch it in the original black and white. The gory parts are actually kind of funny to me, but because it's in black and white, the gore isn't, it's not terrible. And I know that people can't handle a lot of gore, so I'm not going to steer you wrong on that just to make you watch a movie. The resulting or the sequels, uh, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, all the and the reboots of the sequels, were also all kind of social commentary movies using the zombie genre. Um, the Ready Revolutionary said he lying. It was and what really blew my mind, Ready, was when he was interviewed about that. It blew my mind that he actually was like, "No, I didn't mean to do that. That was purely coincidental." I'm like, "Bruh, come on, just take the win on that one." Because I I think the ending of the original Night of the Living Dead is absolutely brilliant, spot on, exactly what the United States is, but you got to watch it to understand what that means. And I just wish he had taken credit for it, but he swore up and down he didn't mean for it to come out that way. So, the sequels all had themes. Like I think it was one of the sequels took place in an abandoned missile silo, and it was a commentary on the militarism, the rampant militarism of the United States that was a threat that once again folks couldn't get along to deal with, even as militarism in the movie was made the zombie apocalypse worse. But people still were committed to militarism. So that was that. And then there was one sequel that was um, the reboot, I think, yeah, with Ving Rhames, which actually was a very, very good one. I think that was the Day of the Dead. Um, that the sequel that takes place in the shopping mall was Romero's take on consumerism in the United States and how consumerism and capitalism was indoctrinating people to be zombies and just buy shit, buy shit, buy shit. Yeah. Thank you. This is the one I was getting to. Thank you, Oracle at Delphi. The Night of the Living Dead, and this is the the Night of the Living Dead with John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper was really, I really like that movie. That's really good. And it is absolutely a metaphor and plain as day for how the rich feed off the marginalized and the oppressed. And then they create these, they created this like walled in city that was a bastion of living civilization with the rest of the country and the world undead around them, but there was still this class hierarchy within this walled off city. Like there are literal zombies on the outside of the city wanting to eat everybody inside, but on the inside, the rich are taking advantage of and exploiting everybody else, the poor. And if you watch that one, the Leguizamo and Hopper version, you see how that ends up. That was pretty good. So okay, so let me which one was the movie? Which one was the movie where they introduced the quote unquote fast zombies? And don't say 28 days later, because 28 days later is not a zombie movie. Those are not zombies. Those people are infected. That's a different kind of apocalypse, a legitimate apocalypse, and I'm all for viral apocalypses. I'm here for it, but those are not zombies. In 28 days later, not in 28 weeks later, those are not zombies. Let's not confuse our horror movie, apocalyptic movie monsters. Okay? All right. So up until I think it might have been Day of the Dead, the shopping mall reboot, when the zombies, the whole fast zombie um a phenomenon started. I guess somebody had the bright idea, like, why are zombies always, ambling around and shambling? And it seems like all you have to do to get away from them is run, you know? So then at some point, some brilliant person said, you know what? What if you couldn't outrun zombies? Wouldn't they be that much more terrifying? And it was. Oh, it was so great. So let me go back because I saw some of your questions in here. Thanks. We out. Watched Midnight Mass on Netflix. Yes, the monsters were Christian fundamentalists, get vampires. I thought that was. I mean, it was campy. The scares were okay, but I thought the message was great. I thought the message was great. So that's a really good series. I really dug that. And I have a special place in my heart for vampires too. I do love vampires and werewolves. Yeah. Let's see. Oracle at Delphi, thanks for saying this. The zombie concept also plays to the notion of retribution and accountability, in that what America has buried, hidden, and gotten away with comes back to haunt. Yes. All the smoke, all the zombie smoke. I love it. I love it. Someone asked about, I saw a couple of people asking about Train to Busan. I got to tell you, the Koreans don't be playing around with action and horror movies. They don't play. I love Train to Busan. It is a great movie. The sequel to Train to Busan, Peninsula, it wasn't so great, but Train to Busan was really good. Um, let's see, and what was the other Korean apocalypse? It was a pandemic flu. It's a movie called The Flu. Is it The Flu or just Flu? Let's see. Let me look it up. I don't want to steer y'all wrong. Nope, it's just called Flu. It is a 2013 South Korean pandemic flick. Fantastic. Really, really good. Um, yeah, so I Trained to Busan, really good movie. Flu, very good movie. Um, like I said, I think the Korean most Korean action movies I've seen have been very, very good. Um, yeah, so those are definitely good. So I'm all for the whole zombie genre, and I'll watch any zombie movie. There have been some sucky ones, pun intended, but all of them aren't great. All of them are not, um, examples of social commentary in horror movies. Some of them are just fun, and that's cool. Red Sea has Shaun of the Dead. I do like that movie. It is a lot of fun. I like that movie a lot. It's good. I'm all for zombie comedy. That's good too. Oh, series on Netflix that I did not think I would like, but I actually did, called All of Us Are Dead. It is a South Korean supposedly teen focused zombie series. Yo, it was pretty entertaining. I mean, I didn't want most of those kids to be eaten by zombies, but I mean, it was pretty good. So check that out if you get the chance. I have seen the Resident Evil reboot on Netflix. I didn't dislike it. I mean, I thought it was entertaining. It was a good waste of time for me. I do like the plot twist, um, and I do like the Lance Reddicks. I'm gonna leave it at that. People who liked the video game Resident Evil probably do not would not like the Netflix reboot. So I'm just saying. But if you're not that, if you're not that invested into, the movie being true to the video game, then, it's a fun, binge if you don't, want to turn your brain off for a few hours. Um mm, so yeah, let me see. So why was I talking about his home? Oh yeah, The Walking Dead, the series The Walking Dead is finally coming to an end. And oh, thank you, Very Smug. That, yes, it is. Black Summer on Netflix. It's 2 seasons. Um, very good. The first season, now that I think about it, I can't say that the first season was better than the second season. I think the first season of any franchise is always the benchmark, right? If it's good. I mean, if the first season is shit, then who cares? But the first season of Black Summer was really good. The second season, I'm not going to say that it was not as good. It was just kind of different. So I think it went down different paths. So it was interesting. I agree. Black Summer is a very, very good zombie series on Netflix. So, The Walking Dead. Mm, I'm actually glad they ended that thing. And I have rode with The Walking Dead for since 2013 when the first season, and I'm not kidding, The Walking Dead has been on television since 2013. And The Walking Dead is actually based on a graphic novel by that I also loved, by what's his name, Kirkman. I can't remember this. Roger Kirkman, I think. I got so much stuff floating around in my head, I cannot keep it all straight. Sometimes I get people's names mixed up. But you can actually read the graphic novels from The Walking Dead on this site. Let me drop the link into the chat for you. But I don't think they have every volume and issue in here, but they have most of them. Um, but yeah, The Walking Dead was based on this graphic novel. And I think that hmm, as far as like the seasons of The Walking Dead are concerned, the first season was obviously just like groundbreaking, amazing. It's like, damn, I'm scared watching television during the week or whenever, whatever day, it was on AMC, whatever day it aired. It was like, oh my God, TV is scary again. And um, the special effects on the show, amazing. Just amazing. Um, but what I understood about the series, The Walking Dead, the whole story, is that the story is not about the zombies. It's not. The Walking Dead are the survivors of the zombie apocalypse. And if you read the graphic novels, you understand that the graphic novels go into several story arcs of the survivors and how they are kind of trying to rebuild some kind of society after the apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse that is never identified, the source of which is never identified. And I love that so much because I just kind of think it takes a part of the um, focus off of the actual story when we know from the beginning that it's like, oh, it's a viral outbreak, or oh, it's nuclear something, and it's like, no, we don't know what caused this zombie apocalypse. And I think when we're looking at the state of the empire today, I think we can guess about what might bring about some type of societal collapse, but there's so much foolishness going on. I don't think we're not going to be able to pinpoint what it is. So I think that was the great thing that they carried over into the series. um so very smug. And I think, and this is kind of, if you're talking about The Walking Dead, like, this is the point. This is kind of the point. Like, everything that is wrong, ugly, evil, disgusting, despicable, destructive in society before the apocalypse, that shit survives. It survives. And we see it. And I think in some instances, they're very good. The show has been very, very good at um mapping that out in some of those storylines, right? But I do think they dragged some of the storylines out way too much, and some of the storylines were just kind of dumb. Like the people who lived in the garbage dump. What the fuck was that? I don't. I didn't understand why. I mean, okay, I guess I kind of get why you live in a garbage dump, because you're surrounded by filthy, stinky garbage, and what's one of the ways that you can um, kind of hide from the zombies is to cover yourself in goo, basically. um, Human goo, not in entrails and such. So okay, I get it, I get that. But then I'm like, how come they had to speak some weird kind of truncated pigeon English that made like, y'all ain't from another planet? That was just, I just thought that was stupid. That season with those people living in the garbage dump was just so dumb, I think. I thought that the saviors, that was an excellent. I thought the Saviors was an excellent representation of everything bad, wrong, evil, despicable, awful, destructive that survives, and actually that survives after the apocalypse, and then actually ends up thriving during the apocalypse because of all those reasons, right? So you get to see, sort of distilled down to the bare bones, what how fear and oppression upholds a society. It doesn't do anything for the people in the society who are being oppressed and who are terrorized all the time. And they are, and they feel that the external threats are so horrifying that they are willing to deal with the terrorism and the oppression of the society that's giving them food and shelter from the external threats. It's a trade-off. It's like, do you want to be eaten by the zombies? Or do you want to deal with a psychopathic megalomaniac who walks around with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, who could shove people into the incinerator at any time when he gets pissed off? Do, so then you look at that and it's like, oh, that's kind of like how people live in society today. I mean, you pick your poison. Do you, at least in US society today, right? It's like, yeah, capitalism is kicking your ass here and you're poor and you have student loan debt and you can't afford your rent and you don't have health care, but do you want to be eaten by the evil communists? The only difference is in The Walking Dead, the threat on the outside is real. Here in this country, the so-called threat on the outside completely made up by the very megalomaniacs who are oppressing. And so you get that, so you see that. So for me, like the saviors was really kind of scary. um let's see. The whispers, I think, was frightening, the way they introduced the whispers from one season to the next, because in one season you think that, oh my god, the zombies are becoming self-aware and they're talking, right? That is also like the terror of a zombie apocalypse. They're mindless eating machines. They can't think, they don't have organizations. They can't organize. They're just a mass of undirected, they're just coming after human flesh. But oh my God, what if the masses organize? Y'all, come on. Mm, that's just too good right there. So the one season ends with introducing the whispers, having you thinking that the whispers are, zombies who have evolved and they're talking, which means now they can organize. But then when the whispers are introduced, then it's like, damn, for real, y'all? That's um the whole alpha character and the child abuse and the yeah, that just I think I didn't like that season. I didn't like that season either. Um, and then watching The Walking Dead, I think it does cause, if you're a geeked out fan of the genre like I am, it does cause you to sit and think, if there were an apocalypse, what kind of society would we try to build, right? Because I think that's the other thing that The Walking Dead has done since 2013, is introduce all of these different iterations of what a society being rebuilt from the ground up could look like. I mean, so do you think we would be closer to an Oceanside, which was unique because it was all women? Um, do you think we would be closer to an Alexandria? Um, do you think that we would be closer to a savior type situation? Pookie Wood, I swear that part right there, I don't, I didn't, I couldn't, I I couldn't. It was That was too much even for me. Ooh, that was bad. That was just, and I'm just like, man, it, of all the things y'all could have, that you did that to us, you did that to us. Oh my god. So so I mean, would do you think we would end up in like a savior type of situation trying to rebuild society? Would we be like the would we be like Terminus? Remember Terminus? um uh I mean, yeah, what kind of society do you think we are more likely to try to develop after a societal collapse? Here's what I think. I think that if that I think that because we are at such a low level of political organization in this country, we would end up in a savior type situation, because it would be so close to and similar to the way society is now. And people like to go back to what is comfortable to them, what is familiar to them. So, yeah, there would be too many people who would be following some psychopath with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, you know, being a complete and utter megalomaniac, violent thug, saying that he is protecting people from the threats on the outside and providing safety for people. That's what would happen. Because we political education, we ain't where we need to be yet. And I think that's the thing that kind of struck me the most about the societies that were being rebuilt on The Walking Dead, that you could see the weaknesses in the societies because people didn't want to deal with what was wrong with the society that came before, that fell, which is why you end up with Commonwealth, right? So I think The Walking Dead was a really good series. It broke ground for what it did. I wish it had not um, went off into all of those spin-offs. Fear the Walking Dead started out really good. And now I don't know what the fuck is going on. There's a submarine, there's a tower, there was a nuclear bomb. I don't understand what's going on with this Fear the Walking Dead now. I, I'm very confused. Uh, the teen focused Walking Dead, that was stupid. It was horrible. I don't know why they felt like they needed to do that. There is another Walking Dead spinoff that started off in a submarine. I didn't even watch that, John. I looked at the promo and I'm like, y'all are just trying to get the bag now. That's just all. Because we zombie addicts, you know us all too well. Um, so yeah, glad it's coming to an end. Really love the graphic novels. Um, some of the storylines in the series departed a lot from the graphic novels, and some of it was a good thing they did, because the graphic novels, oh my god, the brutality in the some of the graphic novels. If you thought the gore and the brutality was bad in some of the episodes in The Walking Dead, like Sophia getting it, I mean, I wasn't mad. They told that child to stay where she would. Anyway, um, I just, you got to read the graphic novels to understand that they could not have translated the content of the graphic novels to television, not even cable television, and gotten away with some of the things that were in that graphic novel. So, end of an era. The Walking Dead finally wraps this October, I believe. Um, and thank God, because I can't take any more bad seasons. I am happy that Daryl has survived, though. Every episode, I'm just like on edge, like, they're not going to kill Daryl in this episode, are they? Because that was the great thing about The Walking Dead. Like, nobody was sacred. No character was above getting eaten. And that was that was great. That was because it lent a sense of realness to the story. And I thought that was really, really good. So let me see. Let me see what you all have to say about The Walking Dead. Um, really? Iapo Yapa says that if I get a chance, go to the article online called AMC Confirms that The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are set in the same universe. Oh, I gotta read that. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Um, let's see what else you all have. I Am Legend actually is a very good movie. As much as I hate Will Smith, and that's not new. I've always hated Will Smith. I ain't never liked that dude. But Legend is a very good movie. It's a good remake of the original. Omega Man, I think, with Vincent Price. Vincent Price is the horror movie greatest of all time. Period. So yeah, it's, I Am Legend is a good apocalyptic movie, but it's not a zombie movie because those people, those things are technically infected, but they're also kind of vampirish kind of things. Yeah, so that's really good. Um, let's see, what else? What else have y'all got to say? I'm so glad this has been a great conversation and helpful, and not just me being silly for the sake of being silly, which is good sometimes. We really have to do that sometimes just to be silly. Oh, what, comrade? Malaysian horror? Oh, put me on. Please put me on. Cause I need I needs it. I needs it. As if I need to be more afraid of anything else in my life, right? But hey, um, let's see. I see. Let me see. Let me see. What else have you? What else have y'all? Uh, there was something I saw that I wanted to comment on. Huh. Um, here's something interesting about me and zombie stuff. Now, believe it or not, I can't play scary video games. I know that makes no sense. I understand that that makes no logical sense. That I will sit there on a Saturday afternoon, watch 4 zombie movies and John Wick, all 3 of them, but I cannot play scary um, video games like the Resident Evil games. No, I cannot play those. Doesn't make any logical sense, but that's just true. That's just me. That's just how this works. Doesn't make sense. Don't try to figure it out. I haven't figured it out. Don't hurt yourself trying. I'm just saying. Um, there's something else that somebody said in this chat that I wanted to uh yes, yes. Daryl has survived all this time. So has Michonne. And I really want to see what they do with the resolution to the Michonne kind of arc that went off to somewhere. But yes, that Daryl is still alive. It appears no, that he has not showered yet. And somehow that doesn't make me love him less. I don't understand what that's about either. But yeah, um, oh yeah, Invincible and The Boys. The Boys got to be, as far as action series go, if you want to call it that. But I think I would put it in the genre of superhero series, and I love those two. The Boys right up there, top 5, because it is obvious political commentary. Obvious. But very, very violent and gory and graphic. So if you can't do that, don't watch it. There's something else. I cannot figure out what it was that y'all. Uh, mm. Anyway, I, I apologize that I cannot find the uh, comment that someone made, and I think it's about a a zombie movie that's out now. I think it was about the sadness, um, which I just haven't gotten around to watching yet. But anyway, so yeah, see, now y'all gonna have to make me do another Freedom Friday where we talk about superhero movies and action movies, because now you're asking me about The Boys and Watchmen and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I dig those. I'm with those. But before we wrap up today, I want to bring your attention to something that we Neil Gaiman fans have been waiting for forever. And that is the Sandman series premiering on Netflix tonight. Listen here. I am so excited for this series. Everybody I know who has been reading Gaiman and the Sandman series have been wanting a movie, a series, something made out of the Sandman. But we've kind of been like low key, like also not wanting to do it because they never get it right from from the book or from the graphic novel. But so far, from what people have watched, a few of the episodes already have said, it is spot on. It is fantastic. And I am so excited about it. If you are not familiar with the Sandman series, Gaiman pretty much, um, he's telling the story of almost, how does it, it's like almost our emotions, or um like concepts that affect our life, like dreams and desire, despair, death, terror. And one of the what does he call them, the Morpheus, the one of the endless, all of these kind of siblings that represent these concepts that impact human life. They're a part of this collective called the endless. And Dream, whose name is also Morpheus, gets captured, and havoc ensues because he is captured and he's not able to control dreams, and people's dreams kind of go awry. And dreams, as you know, can be good dreams, they can be nightmares. So the graphic novel, The Sandman, uh, just like with Kirkman and The Walking Dead, the horror is for its time. Now it's like, okay, that's not all right. Before its time, it was like, Jesus, what the, and it was clearly like Gaiman and the comic writers just kind of coming up with stuff, trying to see how far they could push the envelope. Um, I I would be surprised if this series conveys half of some of the stuff in the, if they do, whew, bravo, big ups. But I'm really excited. Me and my housemate are, we've got our snacks planned. We have a plan to hold each other accountable that we are not going to watch more than 2 episodes tonight, because we are planning a cookout tomorrow. So we have work to do. So we cannot stay up all night watching 5 episodes of The Sandman on Netflix. But we both have a television in our rooms. So I may be in trouble. But I'm going to try to stick to the agreement. But I'm really, really, really excited about The Sandman on Netflix, and really, really happy that it looks like something good, something really good is being um, is premiering on Netflix, that I'm really looking forward to. And ooh, I'm so excited. This means I have to go buy the cake. So good. Um, so that's it. That's my thoughts on zombies and The Walking Dead and The Sandman. And okay, the next Freedom Friday, we are going to talk about superhero movies. How about that? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about superhero movies, the MCU universe, which, yep, I like. DC Comics, not too big of a fan. Batman is annoying. He's annoying. He's a rich dude with a bunch of toys, and what? Just feed people. That's all. Anyway, I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you all had a good time today with this People's Power Lunch. I really, really enjoyed this hour. It was a lot of fun. It's great to just talk about Goofy stuff, fun stuff, even when you recognize there's politics in it. So you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. As always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. A luta continua, the struggle continues, but trust me, Victoria acerta, victory is certain. Peace.